Are vampires real? Inside 9 chilling accounts of alleged blood-sucking monsters from history, long before author Bram Stoker introduced readers to Dracula in 1897. Terrifying reports of real vampires struck fear in the hearts of people around the world. Of all the ghouls lurking behind dark corners, vampires may be the most terrifying, quick-fanged, and with an insatiable thirst for blood. They've haunted and delighted humans for centuries. So, are there examples of real vampires in history? The answer is complicated, but not an outright no. In Europe and the United States, some people were dubbed vampires after they died, as their fellow townspeople believed that they continued to spread pestilence from the grave. They were dug up, marked as undead, and burned to ashes. Meanwhile, there have been plenty of bloodthirsty rulers and even more vicious serial killers who could be described as vampiristic. Wallachian Prince Vlad the Impaler, thought to be the inspiration for Dracula, allegedly dipped his bread in human blood, and German serial killer Fritz Haarmann killed many of his victims with a love bite straight through their windpipe. Today, there are even thousands of people who readily identify as vampires. And yes, they drink human blood. Read on to learn about 9 real vampires from history, from serial killers and Serbian peasants to cruel leaders with insatiable bloodlust. The vampires of 19th century New England. Mercy Brown. In 19th century Exeter, Rhode Island, George Brown's family faced a tragic series of deaths from tuberculosis. Suspicions arose among locals that one of the deceased women was a vampire, preying on the living. Seeking confirmation, they unearthed the bodies and found that while Mary and Mary Olive had decomposed, Mercy's body appeared remarkably preserved. It's convinced of her vampiric nature. They burned her heart and liver, creating a potion for her ailing brother Edwin. Unfortunately, this failed to save him, and he passed away a few months later of the real-life vampire of Sacramento, Richard Chase. Richard Chase, infamously known as the Dracula Killer, terrified California in the 1970s with his gruesome crimes, exhibiting disturbing behavior from a young age, including setting fires and hurting animals. Chase became fixated on the idea of being a bloodthirsty vampire. His obsession escalated, leading to a stint in a psychiatric facility after attempting to inject himself with rabbit blood. Upon his release, he went on a killing spree, claiming the lives of at least 6 people. His grisly actions included drinking the blood of his victims and even using a yogurt container as a makeshift cup. Chase's Masidi rituals were uncovered when police discovered his apartment drenched in human blood. He was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and later died by suicide in prison. Vlad the Impaler, the possible inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Bram Stoker's famous novel Dracula drew inspiration from the real-life brutal ruler Vlad Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. Born in the 15th century, Vlad's early experiences as a hostage in the Ottoman Empire shaped his ruthless methods. After reclaiming power in Wallachia, he sought revenge on those who had wronged his family, resorting to horrifying tactics like impalement. His ferocity only intensified with time, with reports claiming he killed tens of thousands and developed a reputation for a macabre taste for human blood. While some of the specifics remain unverified, Vlad's gruesome actions left a lasting impact, serving as an apparent muse for Stoker's depiction of the terrifying vampire in his novel. One of Europe's first real vampires, Arnold Pauli, in the early 18th century, Arnold Pauli, a Serbian man, became the center of a vampire legend after his untimely death. The belief in his undead status was fueled by accounts of fresh blood flowing from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, as well as the shedding and regrowth of his nails and skin. A military doctor's report described the ghastly scene of Pauli's exhumation, solidifying his story as a cornerstone of the modern vampire myth. This tale, along with others like that of Mercy Brown, has contributed to the enduring superstition and fascination with vampires that persists to this day. Fritz Haarmann, the Vampire of Hanover. Fritz Haarmann, infamously known as the Vampire of Hanover, terrorized Germany in the early 20th century, preying on young boys and men. He lured them to his apartment with promises of food before brutally attacking and dismembering them. Haarmann's gruesome methods included biting through their windpipes, earning him the sinister nickname. The discovery of numerous human remains near the Line River led to his arrest, and the subsequent investigation revealed bloodstains and the victim's belongings in his apartment. Haarmann was found guilty of 24 murders and sentenced to death by guillotine in 1925, maintaining a chillingly unrepentant demeanor until the end. Another real-life vampire from Serbia, Peter Plagojewicz. Peter Plagojewicz, like Arnold Paoli, found himself at the center of a vampire legend in 18th century Serbia. After his death, several villagers succumbed to a mysterious illness, claiming that Plagojevich had visited them in their sleep, strangling them. It's concerned, the villagers exhumed his body, discovering a surprisingly fresh corpse with traces of fresh blood in his mouth. The presence of blood and other unsettling occurrences during the exhumation solidified their belief that he was indeed a vampire. They drove a stake through his chest, resulting in the flow of more fresh blood. His body was then cremated, bringing an end to the disturbing chapter, unlike the tales of some other alleged vampires. Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. Elizabeth Bathory, known as the Blood Countess, had a gruesome reputation for allegedly torturing and killing hundreds of young women and girls between 1590 and 1610. Though not a vampire in the traditional sense, she was rumored to have indulged in bathing in her victim's blood as a means of preserving her youth. Her heinous acts included burning, freezing, beating, mutilating, and subjecting her victims to horrific forms of torture. Despite the claims made by 300 witnesses, some historians suggest that the charges against her were politically motivated, aimed at undermining her power and settling a debt owed by King Matthias II. Bathory was placed under house arrest until her death in 1614, leaving a legacy shrouded in controversy and horror. Of the graves of real vampires in Poland, recent archaeological excavations in Poland have revealed intriguing findings related to the existence of alleged vampires. In one instance, a female skeleton was found with a sickle carefully positioned across her throat, alongside a padlock fastened to her toe, likely intended as a preventive measure to thwart any potential posthumous reanimation. Further exploration at the site near Pien led to the discovery of additional vampire graves, including that of a child buried face down, accompanied by a padlock on its ankle. A similar graveyard in Luzino unveiled a multitude of intriguing practices, with some corpses being exhumed and reburied and others found decapitated or with coins in their mouths. Bricks strategically placed near the arms and legs were also observed, reflecting the local belief in the necessity of securing the deceased firmly in their graves to prevent any form of supernatural return. These recent findings underscore the enduring presence of vampire folklore and its impact on cultural beliefs and practices. The lives of real vampires in our modern world. While the prevalence of vampire stories in history may not be surprising, the fact that approximately 5,000 individuals in the United States identify as vampires as of 2015 might astonish some. These individuals, not characterized by their undead or violent nature, exhibit vampiric inclinations. Some partake in blood-related activities and possess blood fetishes, with some even consuming donated human blood, while others mimic the behaviors of vampires by avoiding sunlight. Among this diverse group, those who consume blood are known as sanguinarians or blood vampires, while others, labeled as psychic or energy vampires, draw sustenance from the life force of others. Despite their varying practices, many within this community conceal their identities, fearing societal misconceptions and potential backlash due to the taboo nature of their lifestyle. Emerticus, an Atlanta-based Vampire Alliance founder, highlighted the need for discretion, emphasizing that he prioritizes maintaining his vampire identity and secrecy, primarily due to concerns about family life, economic stability, and the prevention of negative media portrayals linking vampire communities to criminal activities. This diversity within the vampire community, both historically and in contemporary times, demonstrates the multifaceted nature of these identities. While fictional vampires like Dracula captivate our imagination, historical accounts include a wide array of figures ranging from Serbian peasants and bloodthirsty rulers to violent serial killers, all encompassing what society might perceive as real vampires. With thousands of self-identifying vampires residing in the United States today, it's entirely possible that you might encounter one without even realizing it.